All right, y'all are live.
Welcome in, Campo and Joe. This is our new schedule with Campo and Joe. We're going to be in studio once a week, and then we're going to hang out in I call it my sports lounge. That's his trophy room. Head coach Dave Campo and Joe C. On a Friday, Coach, you ready to crank out just a little extra Jaguar talk for all of our Jaguar fans?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, the Jags.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into it. I just figured that we would probably Tuesday, Friday, hopefully will be a good schedule for us. And we're all looking anxiously. We're keeping an eye on our phones to see whether or not something's going to come down with the general manager coaching search. But let's at least kind of wrap up this week, Coach, a little bit and then start pointing towards the combine. Because as I look back at the last 5, 6, 7 days, we've narrowed a list of candidates, a decent list of candidates, down to 5. All 5 in-person interviews have taken place, including Ethan Waugh inside the building. And you would expect that something's going to happen here pretty soon. This has been a busy week for the Jaguars, has it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're under the gun a little bit with the combine being about 9 or 8 days away. I believe they have to probably get something done today. I would
Yeah.
think we'd get some kind of an announcement.
So if they ultimately make the decision today and the wheels are in motion, they're on their way to Indianapolis, we're talking balls to the wall. As soon as you touch down in Indianapolis, you got to have your eyes on everything, meetings, so on and so forth. Can you describe that? Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what will happen once they know that who their new general is in the general manager room?
Well, first of all, the whoever they hire, whichever one it is, they've had a knowledge of what's out there in the draft and get ready for the combine. They have an idea based on where they were, whether it's San Francisco or whether it's Green Bay or wherever it is, and you just have to get together a little bit. And then it's just studying everything that's going on. And the key thing is the assistant coaches are doing a lot of the work as far as grading the players at the combine. The biggest thing is the interviews. And I think they would just get together, the head coach or whoever's involved, Shad Khan, whoever the general manager is, and kind of see what they want to get out of the interviews. And then they can be working with each other as the combine is going on, the general manager and the head coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that one interview that took place earlier this week, Tony Baselli, now the EVP, Executive Vice President, and he was talking on Sirius XM about one thing that really kind of got him excited about Liam Cohen and why I think maybe Liam is just as involved in helping with this general manager selection as anybody in that building. And Baselli just went on about how Liam said, that line of scrimmage, man, that's where it all happens. If it's not the way you need it to be, you're not going to be successful. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but the essence is what we've all been barking about for a long time, Coach. You have got to fix your lines of scrimmage. The only way you're ever going to dictate and dominate is by having a line of scrimmage where you can control the guys across from you, right?
Yeah, there's no question about it. And of course, everything is pointed towards Trevor Lawrence, which is rightfully so. You're going to have to, Liam is going to have to do a great job along with the other assistant coaches, Udinsky, whoever's involved with Trevor is going to have to kind of put things in perspective, exactly what they want to get out of him. And
Right.
my feeling, along with theirs, I'm sure, is that the front in front of him protection wise is going to be extremely important, but also they have to have some guys up front that can create something in the running game, because I think the league, the way it is today, if the offense, or excuse me, if the defense knows they're going to throw the football, it doesn't matter who you've got in front of you, you got a job to handle it. So the combination of running the football and then play action off of that, and then when you have to throw the ball, there's a little bit of indecision on the defense, and I think that's the key to the whole situation with improving Trevor.
The talk about Trevor, we'll get to him being on the Kay Adams show and talking about that whole Pittsburgh rumor. About this time last week was when that came out, that a phone call may have been made from Pittsburgh to Jacksonville inquiring about Trevor. So we'll get to that. but just to stay on the line of scrimmage for just a little bit longer. And what you're saying is so true, is that the play action will help Trevor. The run game will help Trevor. Those things need to happen. Yards after contact were minimal for this football team. Yards before contact were minimal for this football team. They were way down the charts in terms of first contact when a running back was being hit, because this offensive line just really wasn't doing their job. And then you go to what Liam Cohen did in Tampa, and Bucky Irving all of a sudden just became this super surprise for them, took over the running back position, RB1, over Rachaad White. And then they really started to be able to knock people off the ball. And that helped Baker Mayfield so much, Coach. And hopefully that's the same thing that can happen for Trevor.
Well, obviously, I believe that we have the two running backs that are good enough to, if they have the opportunity, to make some things happen with Bigsby and ETN.
Yeah.
So to me, it comes down to, it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft. If they decide to go offense, for example, if they take a guy like Campbell, the offensive tackle, from LSU, he has the ability to play any position along the line of scrimmage. And so he may start out at guard, but there's no guarantee in my mind that Walker Little is a guaranteed left tackle. So when you put it all together, I really could see them making that pick. It wouldn't be my first pick because I'm a defensive guy. But if they decide to go in that direction, I think the interior of the defense of the offensive line is a weakness. They need to get someone in there that can come off the football, and I think Sheriff is on his last legs. I don't know if he'll even be here. So it's going to be an interesting pick if they decide to go, big at that position, which I think is important.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Will Campbell, and we definitely, I think each week we need to dive in on one or two strong candidates for that number 5 pick, and then the closer we get, we'll probably look at the second and third round and so on. But both sides of the ball are in trouble. We know that. My classic line, and you know it as well as I do, they can't get a third and one and they can't stop a third and one. And so both sides of the line need help. But it's interesting what you're saying. Brandon Sheriff is gone. Okay. I just don't think there's any question that he is gone. He will not be back. It was an expensive contract. It was one that they bought on what was and didn't necessarily get everything that they hoped from Brandon Sheriff. He played hurt, played hard, but just wasn't nearly as good. Mitch Morse has a chance, I think, to be a decent center this year. If they fix the left and right side of him, I think he definitely has a chance. At least some of his PFF numbers were pretty positive. So give him 2 guards, Coach, and let them get physical, and then let him still run the line and make the line calls, and see if you can't start getting, 3.5 yards per carry north of that, and get something going in the run game.
Well, the number of the candidates that have a possibility in the offensive line with the draft, and we'll talk more about that as we go, but there are 2 or 3 of them that are capable of moving into guard. And I think that's the great thing about this draft right now, if you want to go in that direction. To me, I go back to Leon Searcy, when he talks about, you need a road grader in there. There are some road graders in this draft. Yeah. Plus the fact that I go back to Paul Boudreaux, who I think was one of the best offensive lines coaches in the league for many years. When he was here in Jacksonville and when he was with Jimmy Johnson in Miami, he told them, just get me 5 tackles and I'll teach them how to snap the football. So really, I don't know that you couldn't pick any of these guys and have a chance to play them at any position up front to give you that added push that we need up front for the running game.
Yeah, we just need maulers. I call them savages. We need guys that, as what Eddie O used to say all the way back in the day, bowling balls and butcher knives, that you need to be able to be physical inside. It's hand-to-hand combat. And those guys that are crafty and a little dirty, they will get the job done. And Mitch Morse is a taller guy. He's 6'5", but they need some squatty guys playing. Even Ezra Cleveland in that left guard position is about 6'5". He's a taller cat too. I want those guys that are nailed to the ground, that come off the ball really fast and get that leverage going and just start knocking those defensive guys back.
Yeah, I think, you get a taller guy, it's a little tougher to get down. But if you got your hand on the ground, I'll take one of those 6'5", 330 guys. I think we could get. The key to me is I'm not sure that we have enough what everybody calls dogs on this team. And I'm just looking for some dogs, and again, I think you're right as far as if you look at the guards that are around, then in the 6'3", 6'4" range, 320, 330, those are the guys that seem to be the best. So I agree with you that way, but I think we just need some guys that are tough guys and ready to rough it out.
All right, we mentioned Trevor. Let's circle back to that real quick. And I did get a kick out of it. You were on XL Primetime last week when that rumor was floated that Pittsburgh may have picked up the phone. We all looked around and said, no, Trevor's not going anywhere. Pittsburgh can ask, but it's not going to happen, especially when you consider all the decisions that have been made here to create an offensive coaching staff that's going to save him. But then he goes on the Kay Adams show and he says he has a no-trade clause, that he loves the look and feel of what they're doing here. But if you read between the lines, he's still telling this franchise that they need to give him more to succeed. Would you agree with that? Just the fact that he knows how important this year is coming up?
Absolutely. And I think he does like it here. And I guarantee you, when he was given all that money, whether it's right or wrong, time will tell. But when he got that money, I think he realizes how important he is to this program. There's no way he's going anywhere right now. This is a situation where they're going to do everything over there to give him the opportunity to, go forward. I love listening to Denny Thompson when you have him on the primetime show, because Denny knows quarterbacks. And he says you can't find many quarterbacks that have the pure talent level of Trevor Lawrence. So now it comes down to helping him a little bit up with the guys around him and making sure that mentally he gets to the point where he can make quick decisions. And I do believe that some of that is coaching, to be able to give him the keys to knowing what's happening on defense. And the one thing about Liam Cohen, with the motion that he uses and some of the different sets that he uses, I think that gives the quarterback an indication of what's going to go on defense, which I think is important to making the quick decisions that they have to make.
Now, you and I haven't necessarily broken down the all-22 with the Bucs. You probably more than me, but what do you think Liam Cohen unlocked with Baker Mayfield this year? The running game definitely helped, but anything you think that he may have unlocked for Baker? Because what I'm suggesting is that Trevor needs to be unlocked a little bit to where he can see the field, make quicker decisions, all that type of stuff.
I think a lot of it is the scheme, Joe. What he's done with it, like I said, the motion and some of the things that tells you what's going on the back end. Also, he gave Baker more leverage on, when he can change a play on the field, in a particular down, he can change the play based on the front or whatever he's asked to look at. I think that was part of it. I also think that it comes in the building when you're talking about the importance of not turning the ball over, not making a lot of mistakes, taking a profit. All those kind of things are important. And I think Liam has a good feel for that. Again, everything can be helped with fundamentals and technique. And I'm sure that they worked on that as well. And I think that's something that can help Trevor as well.
Well, this is going to be one of my perfecto questions on XL Primetime. So if you want to steal the answer, you can. But the guy with the most touchdown passes since 2023 in the National Football League in the regular season is Baker Mayfield. Now that's two offensive coordinators get credit. And I want to make this point because everyone's loving on Liam, and I'm super stoked. I hope he's a huge success here in Duval. But Dave Canales also unlocked Baker a little bit, and then a little bit more with the run game and what Liam Cohen was able to do. But he led the league in touchdown passes from 2023 through 2024. So the dude was balling. He's reclaimed his career. I've said it to you before on Campo and Joe. I never thought I would suggest Trevor to take notes from Baker. Never imagined in the world that I would say that. But he has that savvy, that attitude that everyone's counting me out, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to prove you wrong type of guy. I want Trevor to get some of that.
Yeah, I think that's part of it from off the field. I think that's can be cultivated by the coaching staff. You have to remember that Baker Mayfield was a number one as well.
Yeah.
And, he struggled for a while. So, to me, I think you mentioned the number one thing. I've said it right along, Joe. If they improve the running game, they will help Trevor Lawrence right from the beginning. Just that alone, in my opinion, will make him a better quarterback. Now, all the other stuff is mental as well as, the scheme. I really think that is a difference. And obviously, Baker started the year before, but he really took it to another level this year.
Yeah, he did. But just imagine, Coach, let's just say 5 to 7 more points per game, 5 to 7 more minutes in time of possession, 3 to 5 more third down conversions, whatever the numbers are. But you get what I'm saying. Just how much success can roll off of that success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of that can come down to what they do on defense. I'm a defensive guy, and you can give that offense a few more opportunities when you're playing good defense. And so it's going to be a combination of everything that's going to make this team better. I think we have some talent in key positions. If we can just, I think we struggled a little bit with the free agents that we brought in this year. And that has to be cleaned up. And that's part of, what you do in the off season is making sure the guys that you bring in, whether it's draft picks, I think we've hit a little bit better on draft picks recently than we have free agents. So that's going to be important. And if we can bring in a few guys in certain key positions, I think that's going to help Trevor as well.
Yeah, because you're saying goodbye. I'm just looking at a handful of guys. You're saying goodbye to potentially a lot of guys here, significant guys. We mentioned the interior offensive line. Brandon Sheriff, I do think he's the odd man out. And you take a look at the possibility they're probably going to keep Ezra for now because Trent Baalke signed him to a longer-term deal. Doesn't mean it's 100%, but they'll be looking around. We were talking about guard pay. The Landon Dickerson contract last year was $84 million, 4 years, $84 million. So whoever you're signing inside, if you do that in free agency, you're going to be spending a ton of money. If you look for somebody in the draft, you're definitely going to want to build around him. But you're saying goodbye to a handful of other significant starters on this football team, and they got to make sure that they get that right. All right, so let's spend the last 5 minutes of our Friday Campo and Joe podcast with that general manager discussion. And I threw my name I threw my support to James Gladstone because I feel like the LA Rams have done more with less than any other franchise out there. They have been able to continue to succeed, make it to the postseason, contend, and almost pick off big-time teams like beating Philadelphia in the snow with not a full complement of a draft class year after year after year. So anyway, I like Gladstone. Who do you like most of these 5 GM candidates?
Well, I think it's going to be one of two, to be honest with you. I think Gladstone I believe that Liam, when you look at the guys that they brought in, is going with exactly what he did with his coaching staff, which I felt he was going to do because he hasn't been in the league that long. He's gone with trees, like he did with the coaching staff, whether it's McVay, Halfley, LaFleur, all guys that they've basically brought in are guys that came from guys that he trusts as head coaches. I believe he's doing the same thing with the guys he's bringing in on the GM look. For example, Gladstone, is a McVay guy, and he's been around him. So I would say that might be the favorite, but Cunningham from Chicago is not quite as his kind of guy necessarily that he's been around, but he certainly has been around the Eagles. He's been around the Baltimore Ravens. So tree-wise, those guys have been with good programs. So I would say those two guys are my favorites. I think it's going to be one of those two. Cunningham from experience and Gladstone by association.
Yeah. Josh Williams intrigues me from San Francisco, John Eric Sullivan from Green Bay, and then, of course, Ethan Waugh inside the building. We had Leroy Butler on our show yesterday, and, of course, he's a Packer Hall of Famer, and he said some good things about John Eric Sullivan. I don't think he's going to get this job, but at the same time, he said some things like that guy at times is willing to basically throw down the gauntlet and say, we got to get this guy, whatever it takes. And so he'll argue for what he believes in most. And I'm sure that's the case of all these guys. I just like the idea of fresh eyes, fresh mindset and attitude as far as coming in here. I had to laugh as we wrap it up. And this was just from one of our, somebody on X. The photo op that the Jaguars shot out with every interview that was completed, it was Tony Baselli walking that individual out of the building. And it was a picture of him and Josh, him and Ian, him and John Eric. You saw him, right?
Oh, absolutely. And believe me, marketing is key, and you've got a guy that's a Hall of Famer that has been brought in, that everybody loves, knows the land, lay of the land in Jacksonville. They're gonna push that. There's no question about it. Now, how much he's involved in it, making the actual decision, I would say that it's not strong. But at the same time, you're going to put that out there for sure. That just puts a few more people in the seats.
So here's the one, and you can see it just a little bit as far as without the glare of it. But anyway, it's from the Jaguars timeline, and it's showing Tony walking out with Ethan Waugh. We were joking on XL Primetime, will he walk him out the building like he walked the other guy out of the building? And will he walk him out for good, which is just another sidebar. But anyway, someone on X, Coach, took that one particular post and they superimposed a ghost-like image of Trent Baalke right next to Ethan Waugh. It made me laugh. I loved it.
Listen, what I would like to know, that's fantastic. I did not see that, but I would love to know if Ethan was in on all the interviews, because if he was in on all the interviews, he's probably going to be there in some capacity, but it's probably not going to be the GM. Now, if he wasn't in on them, then Liam and Shad and Baselli are making that decision, and he may not be here going forward. And he's in the mix for the GM job. I don't think he's going to get it, but I believe it's the former.
Yeah. I'm just so excited. We'll find out whether or not the decision is made today, over the weekend, but by Monday, we're going to know who the general manager is. That's for sure. All right, Coach.
I believe that.
Enjoyed it. This will be our new setup. We'll do Tuesday, Campo and Joe from 1010XL HQ, and then you in your trophy room, me in the sports lounge. We'll hang out on Friday, and we'll talk Jaguar football.
Sounds good. I love visiting, love talking about football, and go Jags.
Yep. Thank you, guys.